Speech balloon, what Sofía whispered to Leonor moments before the ceremony left Spain's speechless eyes crown. The palace was silent. Cameras flashed. The air was thick with anticipation. Everyone expected elegance, grace, and formality, nothing more, nothing less. But no one was ready for what was about to unfold between the two royal sisters. In that single moment, Sofía leaned toward Leonor, and whispered something that changed everything. The crowd didn't hear it. The cameras didn't catch it. But those who were close enough, saw Leonor's reaction. Her eyes filled with tears. And Spain would never forget that moment. What could Sofía have said? Why did it strike Leonor so deeply? And how could a few quiet words between two sisters bring an entire nation to silence? This is the story behind the whisper that left Spain speechless. The day began like every royal ceremony. The Spanish flag fluttered above the palace. The courtyard was filled with dignitaries, soldiers in crisp uniforms, and guests dressed in their finest. Leonor, radiant and composed, stood ready to take her next step as heir to the throne. Every detail of her appearance spoke of royal duty, the posture, the smile, the calm beneath pressure. Yet beneath that calm, something far more human was stirring, the quiet bond between two sisters who had grown up under the weight of destiny. Sofía stood just behind her, graceful, elegant, and observant. Always a few steps behind her sister in public, but never in spirit. To the public, Sofía was simply the younger princess. But to Leonor, she was the one person who understood her life completely. Every secret, every fear, every sacrifice. And as the ceremony drew near, the air between them felt charged, as if both knew something significant was about to happen. For weeks, the media had speculated about the sisters. Were they drifting apart as Leonor prepared for her new royal responsibilities? Was Sofía feeling left behind? The truth was more complicated. Leonor had been away, training, preparing for her role as future queen. Meanwhile, Sofía had grown quietly stronger, more independent, yet deeply protective of her sister. Their bond wasn't fading, it was being tested by the weight of history. As the royal procession began, Leonor's eyes caught Sofía's across the hall. There was a brief exchange, a look of reassurance. The kind that only siblings could share. The kind that spoke louder than words. But then came the moment. As the choir began its hymn and the king's speech echoed through the hall, Sofía leaned forward. No one else noticed, except for a few near the front row. She whispered just a few words into Leonor's ear. Words so soft, yet powerful enough to pierce through the noise of formality. Leonor froze for a heartbeat. Her smile faltered, her eyes shimmered, and for a second, her royal mask dropped. The crowd thought it was emotion from the ceremony, pride, perhaps. But those who looked closely saw something deeper. It was personal. It was love. It was the raw, unguarded moment of a sister reminding another of something only they would understand. Later, as Leonor composed herself and continued with the ceremony, the cameras captured her glancing toward Sofía more than once. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't royal protocol. It was something genuine, something deeply human in the middle of royal perfection. What did Sofía whisper that caused such a reaction? Insiders close to the family later hinted, it wasn't about duty or the speech. It was about their mother. Before the ceremony, Queen Letizia had told her daughters something powerful, a message about unity, about never letting the crown come between them. And Sofía, standing there, knew exactly when to remind Leonor of those words. She whispered, "You're not alone." That's all it took. 3 simple words that broke the weight of expectation. 3 words that reminded the future queen she was still a sister, a daughter, and a human being beneath the crown. The audience saw tears. They saw pride. They saw love. But only Leonor and Sofía knew the truth of that moment. It wasn't staged. It wasn't rehearsed. It was real. Spain's future queen had just been reminded that no matter how high the throne, her heart still belonged to her family. After the ceremony, royal watchers couldn't stop talking. What had caused the emotional exchange? Why did the sisters hold hands when leaving the hall? Why did Sofía linger, looking after Leonor with that quiet smile? The internet was ablaze with speculation. Some said Sofía had wished her sister strength. Others believed she had told her something about their late grandmother, Queen Sofía, whose wisdom had always guided the family. But one theme echoed across every comment, every post, every conversation: the unbreakable bond between the royal sisters. To understand that moment, you have to go back to their childhood. Leonor and Sofía weren't just princesses growing up in a palace. They were two girls growing up under constant watch, cameras at school, headlines at every birthday. Yet through it all, their parents, King Felipe and Queen Letizia, tried to give them something normal: love, laughter, and togetherness. Leonor, always more serious, carried the weight of the future from a young age. Sofía, lighter and more carefree, often tried to make her sister laugh, to remind her that she could still be young, still dream, still be free. That balance became their secret strength. When Leonor left for her military training, Sofía was seen waving goodbye, smiling bravely, but her eyes said everything. The sisters had never been apart that long. And yet, when Leonor returned, something had changed. They weren't just sisters anymore, they were young women, growing into their roles with grace, facing pressures few could imagine. Their reunion was quiet, but their bond was stronger than ever. The whisper on ceremony day was proof of that, a silent message of love that years of duty could never erase. As the event ended, and the royal family walked out to greet the crowd, cameras captured a subtle gesture. Leonor reached out and brushed Sofía's hand. Just a second, barely visible. But it spoke volumes. In a world where every move is analyzed, that small act said everything: thank you. I needed that. And Spain noticed. Social media exploded with admiration. The sisters are the future of the monarchy, one commentator said. Not because of their titles, but because of their humanity. Even royal historians admitted, there hadn't been such an emotional sisterly bond seen in Spain's modern monarchy before. Later that evening, behind closed palace doors, the family gathered privately. Queen Letizia was seen embracing both daughters. King Felipe looked on proudly, silent but moved. In that moment, they weren't royals. They were just parents, watching their daughters become symbols of strength, love, and unity. That whisper, so small, so private, had become a symbol for millions. It reminded the world that even in the halls of power, emotion still reigns. That sisterhood can transcend protocol. And that sometimes, the quietest moments speak the loudest truths. As night fell over Madrid, a new chapter in Spain's monarchy had begun, one not written in politics or duty, but in the bond between two sisters who dared to be real in a world built on appearances. Weeks later, when Leonor spoke publicly, she made a brief but powerful statement. She said, "Everything I do knowing I'm not alone." The audience applauded. Sofía smiled. The cameras didn't need to explain. Everyone knew where those words came from. And that's why the whisper between them still lingers in the hearts of millions. It wasn't about royalty. It wasn't about power. It was about love, pure, quiet, and timeless. The kind that needs no crown to be remembered. Because in that royal hall, in that fragile instant, two sisters reminded the world of something simple but eternal: that love is the crown no one can take away. And that is what Sofía whispered to Leonor moments before the ceremony, words that turned silence into history, and left Spain speechless.